Have you ever stared up at the night sky and felt a shiver down your spine? The vast expanse filled with twinkling stars can be awe-inspiring, but it can also spark a sense of unease. What unknown creatures might be lurking out there in the darkness? This unease is exactly what fueled the legend of the Mothman, a bizarre winged creature that emerged from the shadows of Point Pleasant, West Virginia in the late 1960s. The year is 1966. Point Pleasant, West Virginia, a quiet town nestled amidst rolling hills, is a place where everyone knows everyone. Life moves at a slow pace, and the biggest concern for most residents is the upcoming high school football game. But everything is about to change. In November of that year, two couples, Roger and Mary Scarberry, along with Steve and Linda Mayfield, are on their way home from a late-night movie when they have an encounter that will send shivers down their spines and ignite a legend. As they drive along a deserted stretch of Route 62, they crest a hill and are met with a sight that defies explanation. Crouched on an abandoned TNT factory overlooking the road is a massive humanoid figure. It stands at least 7 feet tall, with grayish-brown skin and enormous wings folded tightly against its back. The most chilling detail, two glowing red eyes that pierce the darkness and lock onto their car. Panicked, the couple slam on the brakes and throw the car into reverse, fleeing the scene as fast as they can. Shaken but unharmed, they report their encounter to the local police, sparking a wave of fear and fascination that will engulf Point Pleasant. News of the sighting spreads like wildfire through the small town. The local paper, the Point Pleasant Register, publishes a story with the headline, "Two Couples See Man-Sized Bird Creature." The article ignites a frenzy of speculation. Some residents believe the creature is a mutated bird or even a demonic entity. Others dismiss it as a hoax or an overactive imagination, but the sightings don't stop there. In the following weeks, there are numerous reports of a strange flying creature with glowing red eyes. People describe seeing it soaring over the town at night, its large wings casting an eerie shadow on the ground. The fear becomes palpable. Children are afraid to go outside after dark, and some residents take to sleeping with shotguns by their beds. Sheriff Millard Halstead of Point Pleasant is bombarded with calls from frightened citizens. He attempts to reassure the public, stating that there's no evidence of a real threat. However, the sheer number of sightings and the consistency of the descriptions make it difficult to dismiss them entirely. Law enforcement officials begin patrolling the area where the Mothman was first spotted, but their efforts prove fruitless. No physical evidence of the creature is ever found. In the following months, a wave of eyewitness accounts painted a more detailed picture of the Mothman and its behavior. In December of 1966, a young couple, Thomas and Marley Reed, were driving home from work late at night. As they passed the TNT area, they saw a large grayish figure standing on a nearby hill. Startled, Thomas slammed on the brakes, and the car skidded to a halt. The creature turned its head towards them, revealing glowing red eyes that seemed to pierce the darkness. They described the creature as being at least 10 feet tall and having a wingspan of around 12 feet. The Reeds sat there frozen in fear for what felt like an eternity before the creature launched itself into the air and disappeared into the night. Shaken but unharmed, they reported their encounter to the police, adding another layer of credibility to the growing legend. Not all encounters with the Mothman were as terrifying. Mrs. Beatrice Heyer, a resident of Point Pleasant, claimed to have had a more peaceful interaction with the creature. One evening, while sitting on her porch swing, she noticed a large, dark shape flying overhead. At first, she thought it was a bird, but as it came closer, she realized it was unlike anything she had ever seen before. The creature landed on a nearby tree branch, and Mrs. Heyer got a good look at it. She described it as having a man-like body with large feathered wings. However, unlike the other reports, its eyes did not glow red. Instead, they seemed to be a soft yellow color. The creature stared at her for a few moments before taking flight and disappearing into the night sky. Mrs. Heyer's account, while lacking the fear factor of other sightings, added to the mystery of the Mothman. The Mothman wasn't just seen flying around. Some witnesses claimed it interacted with them in unsettling ways. The Newell family reported a series of strange occurrences around their home. It began with their dogs barking erratically at night, seemingly at something unseen in the darkness. Then they started to hear strange flapping sounds outside their bedroom window. One night, Mr. Newell woke up to a loud screech and saw a large, shadowy figure perched on the roof of their house. He described it as having glowing red eyes that stared down at him before launching itself into the night. The family became terrified and eventually moved away from their home, unable to shake the feeling of being watched. But where did the Mothman come from? Was it a mutated animal, a demonic entity, or something else entirely? As the Mothman sightings in Point Pleasant gripped the nation's imagination, a wave of conspiracy theories began to swirl around the creature's origins. The Cold War tensions of the era provided fertile ground for speculation, and some believed the Mothman wasn't a cryptid at all, but something far more sinister. One theory linked the Mothman to a top-secret government project known as Project Indrid. This project, allegedly run by the United States Air Force, focused on developing mind control technology. Conspiracy theorists pointed to the strange behavior of the Mothman, particularly its reported ability to follow cars and emit a high-pitched screech, as evidence of government experimentation gone wrong. They believed the Mothman was a test subject, a mutated animal or even a human, that had escaped a hidden government facility near Point Pleasant. The TNT factory, which served as a backdrop for many Mothman sightings, further fueled the speculation. Some theorized the factory was a front for a secret government base involved in Project Indrid. The abandoned buildings and deserted grounds provided a perfect location for clandestine activities. Proponents of this theory pointed to the sudden closure of the factory in 1967, shortly after the Mothman sightings began, as evidence of a government cover-up. While there's no concrete evidence to support the Project Indrid connection, it tapped into a deep-seated public distrust of the government during the Cold War. People were already worried about nuclear threats and potential communist infiltration, and the idea of a secret government project creating monstrous creatures added another layer of unease to the national psyche. Another theory linked the Mothman to UFO activity. The 1960s saw a surge in UFO sightings across the United States, and some believed the Mothman was an extraterrestrial creature or a harbinger of an alien invasion. This theory often intertwined with the Project Indrid speculation, suggesting the government might be collaborating with aliens or that the Mothman was a byproduct of their technology. Can science offer a more rational explanation for the Mothman sightings? A popular theory suggests the Mothman was simply a giant moth, a previously undiscovered species with an extraordinary wingspan. However, this explanation is unlikely. Moths, even the largest ones found in North America, don't reach anywhere near the size reported in Mothman sightings, 7 to 10 feet tall. Additionally, their bodies are not humanoid, and their eyes do not glow red. Another explanation suggests the witnesses may have simply misidentified a known animal, such as a sandhill crane or a barn owl. Sandhill cranes are large birds with a wingspan of up to 8 feet, and their calls can sound like screeches. Barn owls have large, reflective eyes that could be mistaken for glowing red orbs in the dark. While these explanations hold some merit, the consistency of the Mothman descriptions across numerous sightings makes a mass misidentification less likely. Some believe the entire Mothman legend is an elaborate hoax, perhaps concocted by local teenagers seeking attention. While hoaxes do occur in the realm of cryptozoology, the sheer number of witnesses and the consistency of their descriptions over time make a hoax in this case difficult to substantiate. So, if the Mothman wasn't a giant moth, a misidentified bird, or a hoax, what could it be? Mass hysteria or collective hallucination could explain the Mothman sightings. Shared experiences and heightened anxiety in a small town could lead people to misinterpret what they see. However, the detail and consistency of the descriptions suggest a more concrete stimulus than mere imagination. The possibility of an undiscovered bird species with a large wingspan and unusual features remains a remote possibility. However, without any physical evidence, this explanation remains purely speculative. Pareidolia. This is a psychological phenomenon where the brain tricks us into seeing familiar patterns in random stimuli. For example, seeing faces in clouds. It's possible that the witnesses misinterpreted owls, cranes, or even unusual cloud formations as the Mothman. Ultimately, the Mothman serves as a reminder that the world is full of mysteries, Whether it's a flesh and blood creature, a figment of our collective imagination, or something else entirely, the Mothman compels us to look beyond the mundane and contemplate the vast unknown that surrounds us.